Let me just start off the video by saying that I was so happy. They really got me. They've saved it till the end just so they can say, oh yeah, by the way, Splatoon 3! Ah, it's evil how awesome they are. Okay, anyways, Splatoon 3. What I noticed, what I think. Let's just get right into it. Let's start with the order of the trailer. It starts off in desert, a vast, messy desert. Our little squid kid is wearing a hood, glasses, and a mask. I saw this and I associated it with a spray painter. This is oftentimes what someone would wear to not get paint on them or paint fumes in their body. This fits the chaos that took place. If she's like spray painting and making graffiti everywhere. That's what I thought. I thought she was out there to spray paint the cars and the cargo and stuff like that. That's what I thought. But it could have also been used to just hide her face because they want to make it suspenseful and like, oh, who is it? Who is it? Who is that in the mask? Oh, it's Sinkling! Also, she could be out there to escape other chaos that is taking place. In Inkopolis, maybe. If we look at the description for Nintendo's Splatoon 3 trailer on YouTube or the Nintendo website, they say that that desert is called the Splatlands. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, it's like the Badlands, like the desert. And about that, it's so the Badlands was a body of water that eventually grew into a desert. So it makes me wonder if the area this is taking place in was once a body of water, but not sure yet. We don't have too much detail. I wouldn't think so though, because there's cars, unless cars sank to the bottom of the body of water. But that's what I would think. Also, I would like to think that no one inhabits that desert except for this little Woomy girl and her little buddy. Oh, we'll get to that buddy in a second. But yeah, there's no civilization in that desert except for that one city that we can see in the background. That I think she eventually goes to that city. But the Squid Kid decides that she is ready to return to city life or start city life. I don't know if she's never been in a city before. I don't know her story. So this is like really Octo Expansion-y vibes, right? Like, look at the fish in the front. Like he looks like he should be on the train in Octo Expansion. The crazy looks. Oh my goodness, I love this. I love this. It's so awesome. But Nintendo also called this city Splatsville. Nintendo also called it the City of Chaos. But they also said that this city may not be new, but it developed very quickly, which is nifty. But yeah, it does look like it's still under construction, so it's still going, I guess, which is very awesome. This could introduce completely new shops, characters, bands, trends, and idols. But however, Sheldon, you can see Sheldon's shop in the back. We can see Ammonites. Ammonites is still there. But speaking of locations, we can get clues as to where Splatoon 3 might take place. Pretty early in the trailer, we can see a large object that looks to be upside down. And that object is a large tower. Now, there are two possible answers to whatever this tower was. The first being the lobby tower in Inkopolis from Splatoon 1. Now, this could be the tower, but I really don't think so. I think the second option makes more sense, and that second option being the Eiffel Tower. You can see it. It looks far closer to the Eiffel Tower than it does the Inkopolis Tower. So, that's what my theory is. But there are so many Eiffel Towers in this world. Like, you might think Paris and France, but no. There are like dozens for some reason. and I was doing my research on where it could be. So I truly don't think this takes place in Paris. So I did my research, and there were 3 really good options that I found. Now I really think it's actually going to take place in Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas has an Eiffel Tower. Nevada is a desert, and Las Vegas also has cities, just like Splatsville. Also, surrounding Las Vegas is several airports and train stations, and we see planes and trains in the trailer. So, honestly, most logical explanation, in my opinion. While looking for possible locations, I figured out that Brazil also has an Eiffel Tower. So, it could maybe be in Brazil. But the buildings in Splatsville are very close together, like houses and apartments in Brazil. But Brazil doesn't fit the deserty theme that it's in. But also, Dubai has an Eiffel Tower and Dubai is pretty much all desert. But at the same time, the Eiffel Tower in Dubai is like twice the size of the one in Paris. So I truly don't think that it's in Dubai because it'd be way too big. I really, really, really do think it is in Las Vegas, though. Everything lines up just so well. That's just my theory, though. But, anyways, I was talking about the protagonist, our Inkling. But what about our little buddy? So, you might know our little buddy. He is the one who terrorized us since our first shift at Grisco. Whether they surrounded us when we were out of ink and swatted us with their spoons, or shot us down and barraged us with their missiles countless times. Yeah, the small fry. We now have Satan on our team. But why is he joining us? My theory? He's baby. Yes, he's baby. That's my idea. He is a small, helpless fish by himself. Also, we learned from Sunken Scrolls that salmon live underwater, and they only come up once every like 10,000 years. So, could Splatoon 3 be taking place 10,000 years after Splatoon 2? No, Nintendo actually confirmed it takes place a year and a half or so after Splatoon 2. So, but back to our little buddy. I believe he got separated from his horde, and we took him under our wing because he's so cute. I believe we have to return him. On our way there, we learn more about how salmon work and how learning about stealing their eggs is wrong. I think this will reveal our antagonist to us. I also think that this is the new hero mode. Just like the Zapfish, eggs are very powerful energy sources, but it's also so much smaller too. So those respawn platforms, for example, might be using power eggs. That's why it's such a little piece of technology that can do so much. And I think that is going to be part of the plot too. Also, I think that maybe Octavio is not the villain anymore. Since several Octolings made it to the surface, I doubt he has any reason to want to steal from us, from the Inklings, since he is no longer fighting to have the Zapfish to himself or the Octolings. But I do think the main antagonist will be... But before I say who the antagonist is, let me just say you're here because you're a Splatoon fan. I'm making this because I'm a Splatoon fan. So do a Splatoon fan a favor and like and subscribe. Anyways, bad guy time. Mr. Grizz. He is anti-salmon and he wants their eggs. If he finds out that we're aiding them and learning more about them, he would not like it. Or whoever he is, we don't really know. I think we will learn about him though once the game starts up or near the end. Also in the Grisco manual, the employee handbook, I'm pretty sure it mentions how interacting with salmon is illegal, yet he has us kids do it anyways. That makes me wonder if it's still illegal in this chaos time, or if it's even illegal in this city that we're in Splatsville. I believe he will be the antagonist who is trying to stop us from returning the salmon, but that is just my idea. But since we're talking about the desert still, let's talk about why. Why is there a desert and why are we out here? I think this is how they will start off the tutorial to turf wars and such, but I mostly think this will be the new hero mode. I really think we will start in the wasteland because painting graffiti just by looking at her outfit. I think that's what was happening, or maybe she was out there to escape from other chaos happening. Speaking of chaos, that gameplay looked cool, didn't it? The gameplay in the trailer. I mean, look at all the colors. But during the start of the battle, did you catch that platform? The starting platforms are waffle makers. That's right. That's what it looks like to me, at least. I think this is more proof of the salmon route that Splatoon may be taking. After all, salmon are attacking using cookware and kitchen utensils. Also, the bosses in hero mode tend to use food-related attacks too. The oven boss, that's basically just bread. DJ Octavio's wasabi beets. Also, Callie and Marie is calamari. And Krusty Sean is literally deep fried, so I mean... On the topic of weapons, they look kind of funky now, right? I think Sheldon might have changed them up and redesigned them. Like the range blaster, I think there was a bucket, a hydro splatling, a gold dynamo roller. The bow looked awesome. That's just new entirely. And I love how it's based on a fishing rod. It just looks so good. The E-liter 5K? I think that's an E-liter 5K. Also, it looks so good. The blue? Mwah, chef's kiss. But they added a bunch of new stuff back in. The Inkzooka. I want to call it the remixed Inkzooka because it's a little different now. Instead of shooting out one big old tornado thing, it shoots out 3 blasts of ink. And it'll do the same thing, I think. I think it'll take out opponents from a distance. I think its attacks just look different, though. I think that's the only difference. The bow. I can imagine it being pretty good, honestly. It looks fast, strong, long-ranged. Honestly, I think I really like it. And the crab? What was that? Actually, I think it's a turret. Because if you look at where its mouth would be and near its claws area, it looks like there are little holes there so that it can shoot stuff out. And it moves too, so I think it's a turret. And that would be so cool. Also, there are tiny... those of you who played Splatoon 1 or played Octo Expansion, remember Pearl's Booyah! Well, they put the whale back in. I'm just going to call it the whale because I'm going to keep on saying it. But there are tiny little whales, the speaker things that... Yeah, tiny ones now. You can see them penetrating through the walls and stuff like that, just like they could in Splatoon 1. Can't wait for these things to dominate the meta again. I'm so excited! It's tower control time. They're adding more mechanics too, like the wall jump. I don't know if there were launchers there that send you upward like that. But, I don't know, that's nifty. And the spinning squid jump kind of reminds me of using the Kraken in Splatoon 1. I think it'll be used for like quick movement options, like a substrafe, but like intentional this time, and just a quick movement burst option to change your direction. Also the spawn points, the waffle makers. You can see the real spawn point when they're shooting out, but do you see the little squid icon when they're launching themselves? Those are showing you your teammates' starting points. That's pretty cool. I honestly like it. So snipers can go through the back and get to their positions, or frontline weapons can just shoot themselves toward the middle. I actually like that. But you can only do it once, I think, at the start of the game. After you get splatted, you have to restart from a normal spawning point like other games. But let's go back to the salmon theories I had. Who else remembers the Chaos vs. Order Splatfest and the gear that came with it? The Eye of Justice, the fancy cyborg glasses that Callie wore in the final boss. Huh. Maybe Marina is evil. Anyways, Team Chaos's gear. The big mohawk and the fish skeleton? Maybe a salmon skeleton? We may not see a fish with that structure, but still, that's a fish. I'm bringing this up because the map that they showed in the demonstration was littered with images of fish skeletons. May not be salmons, but they do belong to a fish. There's some images on the ground, but there's actual skeletons on like signs in the background. After Team Chaos won, did some Inklings just attack fish for their skeleton? No, that's too gory. If I were a young salmon, I would run away to a desert if I have to. Maybe that's what that small fry is doing out there. Maybe salmon were in danger for a moment there, so he just took off, and that's why he's out there with the Inkling. But speaking of survival, I'm going to say something, and you should picture something in your mind. Ready? Wilderness survival. Okay, what did you think of? You may have thought woods or cold or hunting. Oh wait, yeah, hunting. Let's talk about that. Name 2 weapons that benefit you in the wild and can be made pretty easily. What did you think of? Spear, a knife or a blade, bows and arrows? If you did, congrats! You may know where I'm going with this. The Inkling in the trailer is not only in the wild or the desert, but she's trying to survive. Using a bow and arrow, she's not hunting, I don't think. I think she has the bow and arrow in that image, in the trailer, to show you like Hunger Games style, like surviving or just survival in general. That's what the theme is, I think. I think Nintendo is trying to show us that Splatoon 3's theme is survival. Before I end it, I have to say a few more things because Nintendo made a few important Twitter announcements about this. So, one of those things being that the crab is a special and that the passengers on the train and walking around the city may look weird because the sunlight affects them. But I honestly think that there's a combination between the sunlight issues and the Octo Expansion characters that came out from the surface, like that fish or the jellyfish. Those look like guys from on the train. So the salmon look different from the salmon as our little buddy because those salmon look like it's during spawning season and salmon look different when it's spawning or non-spawning season. And honestly, I think that's why our little buddy looks a little different because I think the spawning season may affect his looks and he looks much more happy and peaceful. And where his mouth would be is no longer red. His pants are different, but it's just his pants. Also, another thing is that the blaster has the whale special. The bow has the Inkzuka special. And the slosher also has the whale special of what I noticed in the trailer. Just to let you guys know if that's your main weapon and you want to use a new special. So, just had to say. Also, just a hard read, but I feel like there's going to be Octotech everywhere. Another thing is there's going to be whole new brands. Also, you can see a smaller ink tank, which is crazy. I'm wondering if the smaller ink tank is because dehydration. That's what I've heard, at least. Once again, I am pushing the fact that it's definitely going to be a power crisis involving either the Zapfish, but most likely power eggs, because look at all the air conditioners. Those things take up a lot of energy. But another thing to prove my point about Las Vegas is the fact that there's a very low plane, and there's an airport very close to Las Vegas. So for a plane to be that low, kind of makes sense for it to be Las Vegas with a runway right next to it. Also, train stations circling Las Vegas, a whole lot of train stations there. Okay, those are the rest of my theories. I'm done.